Hello, I'm Debra Wallace, licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm on a minute early, so as I'm here, just to encourage people to pause, and I'm waiting for people to get on. Just take some breaths. This is an opportunity to pause and process to create more pleasure and peace in your life. So as I'm waiting to see if any more will get on, this breathing in through your nose, exhaling long through your mouth. My intention with these pause and process is I start every session with breathing, and I'll also end every session with some breathing. And I encourage you to notice any patterns, any changes, any shifts of energy from the beginning to the end. And I tried to keep these just short, 15 to 30 minutes max. So that way, if you're coming in late, you can definitely know you'll get some breathing at the end. At the beginning, you'll know you can start off and leave at any point because spend some time with some psychoeducation, teaching about um, what helps maximize human potential. I love informing about neuroscience, our nervous system, how our mind, body, spirits work, and relationships. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, which um, what sets me apart from all LMFTs are different. That's licensed marriage and family therapists. You have licensed professional counselors, you have psychiatrists, psychologists, and clearly everybody is helping with your mind, your moods, how you're behaving and affecting your well-being and all that. So all those are helpful professions that are helping with that. And what makes licensed marriage and family therapist different is that we are specifically trained to work in systems, meaning that who all the systems you interact with, which include your family of origin, wherever you're dating, your friend circles, your peers, your church, the society, all those systems get bigger and bigger, and how you interact influences those systems as well as all those systems are affecting you. And naturally, I'm biased to LMFT. However, I've also, when I went to graduate school, I focused my master's on my thesis on outcome. And the best outcome, whenever you're going to seek counseling, is your rapport with that therapist or counselor, whoever you're seeing. So that connection, that relationship is going to be the best indicator for the outcome of therapy for you, no matter who you're seeing. So that's why, training's awesome. And I think it absolutely matters. Um, However, how you get along and how you feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure with who you're working with matters. So, um, a little bit about me. I love just weaving in a lot of information about also my master's is development and family studies. And so I just want to empower, advocate, help people know that we're actually born with everything we need um, to live healthy, long lives, satisfying lives. And so I created this um, platform to come twice a week to give people an opportunity to show how it's often a lot of little things that we do to help create this and create this sustainable peace and have more pleasure in our lives. So hopefully more have gone on by now. So I'm just going to encourage again, let's just take another deep breath. Make sure you're sitting somewhere comfortable. And imagine air coming in through your nose, filling up your lungs, exhaling long through your mouth. And I'm going to aim to not speak for a minute. And what I want you to do, just if this is your first time coming on, I have an introduction video that I have recorded. But the main point of connecting to your breath, I teach a lot about somatic therapy. And the very first step of somatic therapy is mindfulness. And mindfulness means paying attention to the particular moment without judgment. And I like to add with compassion and curiosity. And so it's almost like you're putting your body through a compassionate, non judgmental scan and going from head to toe and just noticing any thoughts, feelings, sensations, images, beliefs, distractions that come up while you are breathing in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And I'm going to read. I love this description of body awareness. I just love it. It's written so well because that's also what I'm weaving in. I'm trauma informed care, somatic experiencing by Dr. Peter Levine, and I weave in a lot of his work. But I love this description that what we're doing when it's there's so many good reasons to pause and process because it builds up, and whatever doesn't get processed is going to come out in our health and our relationships. It's going to create tension, conflict. And so when we make time to pause and listen to our body, it is communicating to us, it is signaling to us cues of areas that unmet needs, things that need to be taken care of. And I have many other YouTube videos on emotions, processing negative emotions, on stress and trauma. I encourage you to look into them more. But I really love this. I'm going to read it. Somatic therapy begins with the developing of keen awareness of and befriending our bodily sensations. This might involve noticing things like tension patterns, impulses, bodily behaviors, the quality of our breath, our heart rate, as well as any neutral, negative, or positive experiences that are coming on, happening in the body or around you. By tuning into these physical qualities, individuals can start to recognize how stress and trauma has affected their physical well being, as well as begin to identifying the physical qualities of safety. Um, with that said, I'm going to be quiet for a minute and I want you to breathe and notice what comes up by simply noticing it, and notice the next thing that comes up. So breathing in, exhale, and I will begin the minute. And it has been a minute. If it felt longer, I may have given a little longer. And as I mentioned, I've said in my other talks, I want to give what I give everyone who comes to me in my therapy rooms. And so often then I would check in and say, share at your own time what's coming up for you. So take a moment just to acknowledge, and I will share what was coming up for me. You may notice my cat will appear often, as I have shared that my mother recently passed away, and we believe this my mother returning in a energetic form. This is Babs, and so it brings joy to my face, a little tear in my eye, as I also want to show people that we can grieve in ways that are enlightening. And actually, when we allow ourselves to feel negative emotions and actually process them, we actually create more space for joy and pleasure. And so I can see this cat with pleasure right now. The other thing that came to mind when I went to um, breathe is I have a tendency to like to close my eyes when I'm doing this. So I had noticed that I didn't say that. um, I have a bit of a perfectionist part. So when I go, I'll notice, oh, what didn't I do? And so I think it's important that when you take these deep breaths, you have to do what feels safe and right to you in that moment. And that can change as depending on where you're at. I'm in my home, I'm safe, I feel comfortable. So closing my eyes is very easy for me to do. Um, and yet that might not feel okay in some areas. And sometimes closing our eyes can bring up more images or memories for some people. Again, there's no right or wrong. I'm just giving you the landscape of things that can happen, because a lot of people will not take this time to pause because negative material will come up. And as I mentioned, actually, that's I call my business Positive Reframe, and I even have a video, a quick description of that, because I'm not saying you have to be positive all the time. That's not possible. There's just no way for that to happen. What I like to encourage is how to become positive about even being negative, about having conflict, about having tension, being able to take a step back, look at the big picture, and see what is the meaning behind that, or what is needing to happen. And sometimes it's nothing, and that's okay. But a lot of times, if we are chronically experiencing the same reactions, there's patterns to that, and there's information in that to help us um, utilize to create more pleasure and peace in our lives. Um, I also notice, because as I breathe, again, I'm obviously avid for taking deep breaths, and so as I breathe now, I also notice when I close my eyes, I have this special lighted camera, so then I see the circle in my eyes when I close my eyes, and so I notice that. And I just like I think a lot of people, when I do this mindfulness activity, some people will be like, I don't know, all this stuff, and then some people are like, I don't know, I felt nothing, and so I just like to narrate what this process could look like, a snapshot, and that's why there's really no right or wrong. All parts welcome. Um, I noticed that my body was feeling is feeling energized and pretty calm. You may see the image that I chose to put on my thumbnail for this talk comes from my book, um, How to Train My Brain, which I have a webinar on that, because this is not a book. It's meant to be an intervention that you sit and like do a page at a time with your children. And so actually one of the activities in here that I encourage parents to do with their kids is how to pay attention to sensations. So that's what we're doing. Pause and check in. And in fact, as I mentioned, I love reading. I'm actually reading a book called I started it like a year ago. I read a lot of books, but then I went back to it. It was so fitting. It's Setting Boundaries That Stick. And now I'm going to say she's an LMFT as well. Julianne Taylor Shore, I believe is her name, but I could be remembering it incorrectly. But literally, the chapter I was just on was chapter 4, and it's all about pause. So if you want, well, I like love the neuroscience. Like I just love all that information. So if you want more specific details about the benefits of this pause, I would recommend chapter 4 of Setting Boundaries That Stick. It's brilliant. It was perfect timing because I mean, I already created this before I got to that chapter, and I was like, thank you. I have someone to share that with. So I usually recommend books in every one of my talks because I've read a lot. I've needed to read a lot, and I love reading. I love learning. But that's why I created a book that was more simplified so that we could do with our children, and parents likewise can do it together. Um, and so the image that I have on the cover are safety signals. Uh, and usually, when we feel safe and connected, we will feel warm, fuzzy, soft, loose, cuddly, awake, calm, tall, energetic, light, open. Because if you when I just read that awareness about what we're trying to create body awareness, we're trying to tap into our qualities of safety. We're trying to listen to what our cues of stress are and what our cues of safety are, because we want to follow our light. We want to create more safety in our lives. And unfortunately, with coming out of a pandemic, wars are literally happening in our world, and there are massive changes happening really, really fast. And I'm trauma informed. So, trauma is anything that happens too fast, too soon, too quickly, too much, too fast, too soon that our nervous system can't handle. And so, that's another reason why I wanted to create these Tuesdays and Thursdays as my gift to the world, as an opportunity to, like, let's regroup. Let's have a moment to connect to ourselves, because when we're able to do that, we can anchor into our innate intelligence, into our gifts. And all of us have a gift, and they could look very different. But this is a space for you to listen to yourself, to your body, your mind, your body, and spirit, and to make choices and respond in ways that align with your values and your greatest intentions. And as I was talking about systems theory, that your what you show up and do today in this moment is going to ripple throughout all the systems that you engage with. And so, fortunately, as I was breathing, I felt much more of that light today. Um, so I'm gonna be quiet again. As I mentioned, I like to start and end with breathing. So I just want you to again take a moment to breathe. Exhale long through your mouth. And checking in with your nervous system. And also, I had ended the last week. I talked about lighting a candle as a metaphor, and so I'm actually going to light a different candle this time. But this one with the last time I did a birthday candle because I showed how. Well, actually, I'll just show it again. When we're all born connected to our light, to source, and it really doesn't take much when it's a candle in the wind like this. Anything, people are constantly needing things for us, and our work, our jobs, our children, our partners, our parents, like, it is so easy to lose connection to our light. And so I'm gonna move up to one with barriers because I'm gonna talk even more about boundaries. But boundaries, like even you creating time in your schedule to come sit with me, is creating a boundary to preserve your well-being and protect your spirit. And this is why we need parents. This is why we need caregivers. This is why we do need governments and some agencies to help create boundaries to protect ourselves. And so that if like as I'm talking, this isn't blowing out. So at least it can buffer. It can't buffer everything, and we can still very easily blow it out. But as I'm teaching, and I want everyone to learn, we all have our own lighter to light up our spirits so that we can feel that light and ease and flow and be our best selves. And I encourage you to to look for there's a term also, because I do a lot of trauma work and we talk a lot about triggers. There's also such a thing as glimmers. And glimmers are those things that light us up, that help us feel good. So I want to encourage you to listen to your nervous system for stress signals, but also for safety signals when you're feeling light. And we want to make sure that whatever that is, you got to think about that as like a nutrient. Like we take vitamins, people take vitamins. So I want to keep promoting natural things that we do. And it look different for everybody. So I encourage you to keep listening to your mind, body, spirit, what helps you feel alive, and let's increase the dose for that. And that does not mean all bad things go away. That does not mean things aren't blowing at us. Oh, look at that. I blew on it and didn't go away. I like that. um, the hope is we become more resilient. That is resiliency. The faster we can light our light, and even it not go away, is being resilient. And so I love sharing what those resiliency factors are, what those habits are. And so please listen to your body. Please make time for yourself. You need it. And encourage in nurturing the relationship within yourself, your mind, body, spirit, and with those people you love most that are in your corner for you. We need that. We need anchors. We need relationships where we feel safe so that we can deal with the hardships that are going on in our world. Thank you for making time for yourself and sharing your journey with me. Take wonderful care.